Alrighty, guys, we're sitting down with Kenny Watts today. I've got to say, mate, you're a bit of a character. I did a bit of research last night. I went on your Facebook profile, and I got stuck looking at your profile pictures.
Yeah, the girls are popular in my Facebook page.
Mate, I got to the 10th one, and then the 20th one, and then the 30th one.
Yeah, it all started. We went to an MX National over at Murray Bridge. We went on a bus and we kidnapped Brendan Holland in Canova and for the day.
Yep.
And the promo girls were standing in front of the podium box. And I said, I might get a photo of them. As I was walking to the girls, my T-shirt on the back of it said Horsham official.
Yep.
So Mark Hancock thought that was the best looking side of me. So he said, stand there. And he said to one girl, pretend you're pinching his wallet. And the other girl, just stand there and look good. And that become the backdrop for my photo. So no other reason, just it started like that. Back in the day, there was a chat room where you sort of didn't really expose who you was. You know, you went under an alias.
Was that Full Noise, was it?
Yeah, so I was KTM Mad, and everyone knew me anyway, but just that, I used that as a picture for it too, so.
Yeah. I remember checking the Full Noise forum back in the day.
Yeah, it was good back in the day, but, you know, social media's changed everything. So.
Yeah, it killed that, didn't it? The tipping competition.
Yeah, it was good fun. You went on there and had a yak and
yeah. So for those that have been in the Australian motorcycling industry, you'll probably know Kenny already. Kenny and the Horsham Motorcycle Club basically go hand in hand. You've been the secretary for many years, the president for many years. You've filled a lot of roles. Tell us about that. Yeah,
I had two young boys, like 5 and 6 or something like that. And I won a family pass to come to Horsham to watch the MX Nationals back in the day. We pulled up in the grass paddock and I sat in that grass paddock for the whole day. The kids come down and got photos and everything else and some posters signed and things like that. And that just started the bug for my boys more than anything. Went for a ride out at a little track out the other side of Warwickneville, and a Horsham club member spotted my boys riding around, and next minute they invited them here, and
that was it.
That was the start of becoming a Horsham club member.
So what year was that?
2002.
Right. And before that, did you have any affiliation with motorbikes or
no, I was
nothing?
Footballer.
That was it?
100% football. I had a motorbike and I rode in the bush on a Sunday after footy.
Yep.
And that was, you know, passionate, but never really followed anything.
Right, cool. That's awesome. I'm glad we've got that on the record there. So then now to fast forward from there, your time in the club, some of your achievements, many MX Nationals, state championships, World Juniors.
Yeah, it's within 12 months of joining the club, I was a race secretary, assistant race secretary for the following year of the Nationals. Within 12 months, basically, I was here helping Christine Williams out with Kevin Williams's event, helping them out doing that. And just run by the seat of my pants, had no idea what I was doing, and just reading books, trying to work out what the rules were to help my kids in the sport. And
steep learning curve.
Yeah, and just absolutely got sucked into doing it, you know. And then they realised, you know, at camping, I had a habit of walking around talking and knowing the rules, and people ask questions. So to shut me up, they give me a microphone the next day, and I've been commentating a lot, so...
Yeah, awesome. It's just cool to hear, like, we'll expand on it more, the things you've done within the club, but you started off with basically zero affiliation to motorbikes, maybe interests, passions. It was just random, came out. And then if you fast forward now, like anyone that hears your name or knows of you, they just think Horsham and motorbikes, basically. So you've tied yourself to the sport and to the club. And the reason I push forwards on that point is that if you were to think of all the experiences you've had since joining the club that day, like list those out, some of the things that you've done there, like, I know the World Juniors.
Yeah, so we, you know, got the bug. People invited my kids to come with them to different events. Our first Australian junior title was in Tasmania. You probably rode at that. Yeah. Kurt Gibbs won the double on the 125 and 250. So we went to that, and that started our passion to go away and do the Australian motocross titles. So we went to Coolum the year after that. Then it just come by, probably a little bit of injury and a little bit of your time on the bike when it fell in place, like whether Aaron was the younger age group of that age group, whether we did go or not. Just a realistically cost-effective side of things. We went when not when we were thinking we were going to win it. Our aim was if Aaron or Corey could finish in the top 10, that was a major achievement for us as a family. Yeah. So, we done a lot of Aussie juniors, went away, and then the 2012 Aussie juniors was at Coolum, and I jumped up on the microphone with Toddy Jarrett a couple of times.
Nice.
Toddy Jarrett from over your way. Jumped up and had a yak with commentating for a little bit of that. And then we just come home and was just talking about it with our club. And I honestly thought that we had a really good committee that year. Brett Harris was the president. I was the secretary, and we had some really good people helping out at the club at Working Bees and everything else, and Mark Hancock and Laurie Pearson. Yep. And we just thought, I thought if we're ever going to run one, we probably had a great committee to do it. So, so we applied for it and got it. And we, in the process of doing it, we ended up seeing the downfall at the sport, what we thought as a club lacked a little bit of support by the sponsors at the time. You know, like we went to that. Honda was the major naming sponsors in 2012. And then, you know, there was a little team truck, 10 flags, one bike that represented Honda at that event.
This is the Aussie Juniors?
Yeah, the one brand, basically the 250. They didn't really, in 2012, the 150 was sort of starting to drop away anyway. So it was only one bike, and we come back and we had a big discussion. We sat down as a club and we said, the things that we think we liked in the sport over the events that we'd been to, and the things that we thought needed improving. So, we introduced MA to KTM and insisted that that was where we wanted our non-sponsor to be, as the KTM Australian Junior Motocross titles. And that year was our introduction for KTM, and our Aussie Juniors was an amazing event.
So you've hosted 2 Australian junior titles here at Horsham?
We ran the first one in 2013, and then that night I was awarded a life membership at the presentation night.
Oh, nice.
And in getting up and thanking the club had a few tears running out of my eyes and everything else. I was very emotional.
That's a cool experience.
I said, I believe we've just run the best ever Aussie junior motocross titles. No disrespect to the other clubs, but I just thought everything gelled. We didn't water the track until Wednesday.
Yeah, right.
Like, hard to believe in it.
Yeah, that doesn't happen
A
around this part
motocross
of the
event
world.
that didn't touch water. We had, at lunchtime, dinner time, a little 8 mil drop of rain hit the girls while they were out racing.
Yeah.
And that was it. We didn't water again until the next night.
How good's that?
So we ran a great event and everything worked off really good. And I said, I don't know why I said it, but I said, the only thing we could do now to improve on that is maybe run a World Junior Motocross titles. And that's just started the passion of one bloke in particular, Laurie Pearson, a life member of our club. He said, so how do we get to run this World Junior Motocross titles? I said, I had no idea. I said, I don't even know why I said that. And he goes, I think we find out. So, we made some phone calls and started talking to Luigi, or whatever his name is, over in the MXGP. Giuseppe. And it was just like, there was a bloke that we communicated with, Danielle, and he was really good to communicate with, and he sent us the contracts and we got some grants, got funding from the Victorian government.
And so how early out was that all in the works?
2014.
And when was the actual event?
2018.
Oh, wow, 4 years.
So a lot of work went on. We had a new secretary come on that year, Jackie Hill. And we burned her out in 4 years. So she was amazing. Like she come from background, was in the bank. So that worked in really good.
That's handy.
And it just, we just went through the process and ticked all the boxes. And then we did communicate with MA about, the support from the sport itself, helping us out run it. And they didn't have any money for us at all to help run it. So we basically said to them, offer us an Australian Junior Motocross titles again. Mm-hmm. And the money generated from that we'll use to help run the World Juniors. So they gave us 2017, and that was how we got 2 in so close of succession,
Gotcha. So the Aussie Juniors funded the World
Yeah, 2017, we basically worked for 12 months just to raise the money from the Aussie juniors in 17 to help run the 18 World Juniors.
So I know it's going to be hard, but try and sum up the amount of effort. Like you're in, it's first mentioned in 2014. You're negotiating probably then in 15. You're running then Aussie Juniors, 16 you're preparing, 17 you're running it. And then finally in 2018 you get to host the event. That's a lot of work and effort that goes into that entire process.
We went to Spain in 2015 to watch the World Junior Motocross event to get an understanding of what we needed, everything, the running. So we were there on the Tuesday in Almola, just out of Madrid. Yeah, right. And that was the year that Hunter Lawrence finished third.
Ah, nice.
So we went there, we were there on the Tuesday, we got out there and it was like, you could not come back and report to our government what they had.
And like expand on that.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
There was grass 3 foot high. There was an attempted outer perimeter fence. And we honestly thought we were at the wrong place.
Yeah, right. So it was just completely run down and just the backyard set up.
There was no start gates. There was two trailers parked up and they were painting the start gates. There was no finish line. The start line wasn't even in place.
How'd they run it?
Out comes Wednesday, things started happening. Thursday, the MXGP trucks come in and all the infrastructure come in and build an event, and they had DJ and had everything there, and it did go ahead really good. But you couldn't come back to Australia and say, "Oh, nah,
let's do nothing until 3 days beforehand."
The infrastructure we had in place, when they come over, they didn't understand it. That we have here in Australia. What we take is every day take for granted to be there. They don't have that over there.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So it's basically just like a pop-up event, last minute, get it done.
Yeah, and it was, they got it done, and it was a great event. It was 42 or 43 degrees, stinking hot.
Yeah.
And we were standing there and just watching it, and the riders were riding around with no helmets on, and we go, what? This is just not right for us, because the rules here.
Yeah. I mean, you're reminding me of racing in Indonesia. We'd show up to what you thought was the venue, but you're looking around and you see a soccer field and, a few broken down buildings.
Yeah, 100%. It was just so we come back after that and we basically didn't tell anybody.
You would have been pretty confident though you could host it after that?
Well, we wanted, for the effort, we wanted reward for our club.
Yeah.
So we had come back and there was promise of a lot of money from the government.
Right.
A lot of promise.
And like what arm of the government's that? Are they?
Sport. Yeah, so the sports minister come on, and there was through people in the government that was, there was offer of grandstands and, lighting, and the front road being fully bitumenized and everything else to make it all weather proof, just in case the worst case scenario popped up and it bucketed down rain. So there was a lot of promise of help for the club, and then it become a political. Our club become a political chess piece for Ambulance Victoria and the government.
How did Ambulance Victoria get involved?
Well, at the Aussie Juniors in 17, they had, at that stage, it was where they wanted ambulances to be on site at every sporting event. They wanted ambulance at the football. They wanted them at soccer. They wanted them at netball. They wanted them at motocross.
Yeah.
They don't come for free.
Yeah.
They were out there the people in there trying to make it that we were doing the wrong thing.
Right.
So while there was a massive investigation into us as a club, all our funding went out the window. Everything. It was just like, it put a really sour taste in there for us as a club.
Was there, I mean, you don't have to say if you don't want, but was there anything that led them to doing investigations and things like that, or was it just...
100%.
Yeah? Was there actually wrongdoings?
No.
No, it was just...
No, but the allegations that were alleged that we had done things, there was an assumption that we put an injured rider in a medic buggy and drove him to Horsham.
Right.
And we've got one of the best medical centres down there, stainless steel, clean, sterilised hospital beds in it. And they were assuming that we drove past that with a kid in a medical buggy and drove him into Horsham. So
Right. Okay. I'm glad you're sharing these stories because people would just see like, oh, World Juniors, cool, we'll go there. But this is all happening behind the scenes.
This is just the Aussie Juniors in 17, just at that stage. And that just put all the promise of support just went out the wayside until it was all ticked the boxes, and then it got to the point it was too late.
Well, that's politics and it's worse.
Yeah, and unfortunately it come to a small club that was working its butt off, trying to get it all over the line.
So the only result of that was just no funding, basically, nothing good.
Well, the local council come and still supported as much as they could. You know, we got security lighting, so, 5 o'clock in the morning when they all rock up, we can turn the lights on and you can drop a $2 coin on the ground and find it.
Yeah.
At 5 in the morning, like the lighting we've got here was really good, set up for that, and other stuff that the council supported us, and our club chucked a lot of money into getting infrastructure over the line in place and in time. And they don't bring MXGP trucks to Horsham for a World Junior.
Yeah.
So any infrastructure that was here, we brought.
Gotcha.
Signage, all the signage we supplied, we put them all up in motels, and everything was done at our expense.
So while all this has been organised, say throughout that 4 years and then probably really intensely the last year, who's doing this, and like, is it paid time for people? Is it just after work? You're doing it in the lobby? And
after work. Well, for some people,
arguing with Ambulance Victoria.
Some people it was after work. Laurie Pearson, Mark Hancock, Jackie Hill, myself. There was a lot of phone calls during the day. I'm a truck driver, so the phone's going flat out. You're just answering calls, answering emails, doing whatever you can when you can, and just ticking all the boxes. And we had, regular meetings with MA, making sure that we were taking the right direction. And that was during the day, so I wasn't involved in any of them. So Jackie got stuck doing them. And Mark Hancock, we needed to have as an official for our event.
Yep.
And he was our highest official we had in Australia as level 4. So we sent him over to overseas, and he worked he done the course in Geneva, and then went and done, I think, 2 assistant clerk course at MXGPs.
Yep.
And become good friends with Tony Skillington, who was like the head honcho at the time for motocross in the FIM. Then we also sent Cam Shalva. You know Cam Shalva? He was like the clerk of course, a steward for the MX of Nationals at the time. Yep. He was involved.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So Cam's now involved with the Australian Supercross and the World Supercross too.
Yeah,
he's involved with that, and Kevin Williams.
Yeah.
So we sent him over too. We paid for that, our club. Sent him over. Like, he was grateful. We were grateful that he took the time out to go over, and he ended up going over to Geneva or somewhere and doing his level 5 course. And then, so we helped. I think Mark Hancock probably didn't take much money to get over there. It was that little pet love that he's got going in the sport.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah.
I'd hate to try and recover the money he spent committing his time to the sport. Like,
gotcha.
He's not a truck driver that's on $35 an hour. He's a fully blown accountant and run a major business here in town. And I was probably answering emails in the airplanes as he's flying around the world, helping us out as a club.
Yeah, gotcha. So it sounds like basically there's maybe 4 or 5 people doing a part-time gig alongside probably their full-time jobs to get it up and running.
Yeah. Like, we had a good crew of people in the background when we were doing things, working bees and things like that a lot of club members all pitched in. Yeah. But in the lead up, it was like people didn't know. It was a 4-year turnaround. As soon as we got given the okay, that started. We better go and have a look at one. So 15, we went to Spain.
It's a massive undertaking. So what, like, for the club taking it on as a whole, did the members grow? Was it a financial burden? Did you lose money? Did it gain money? Was it good advertising for the club? Like, speak on it on those side of things as much as you
So Laurie Pearson and Jackie Hill was able to get us a lot of grants because of the events coming, like the security fencing around the perimeter, the 1.2 fencing that we've got separating our spectators from the track. That was, we got grants for that, and we had a Thursday night men's club that come along and helped us out, with builders and those sort of blokes that have a Thursday night club. They would help us out a bit, and we'd give them a little bit of money. Not a lot. That was pretty good for the price they were doing it. So a lot of our infrastructure was improved in the lead up to it. It wasn't a one night discussion. It was
gotcha.
A lot of work went into getting things over the line. So
do you think the club broke even hosting the event? Would you say, like, just purely on expenses, not people's time?
I think in capital gains, like the improvements to our venue and the improvements with the access road and things like that, if you put a monetary value that they gained the club, I'd say that it was viable for us to do it. But as a cash flow side of things, it was not no.
And then you got 4 people dedicating their spare time to 4 at a minimum, basically.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you look at the World Juniors, there's a lot of people that you talk to who said, I didn't go. Yeah. And they call themselves passionate motorbike riders. I'll probably ask you the question, was you here?
Me? No, I wasn't here, no.
No, so it just shows you, and we had that day, Liam Everts, Stefan Everts, this young fella raced here. If he didn't blow his bike up, probably the trivia buffs would have been, where did Liam Everts win his first ever world title?
Yeah, gotcha.
The answer could have been Horsham, Australia.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his bike blew up. Young Caden Braswell that won the 85 class, he now rides for the Troy Lee Designs team in America for the Supercross. Muddy Gundanini that was leading the 125 class here, that fell off, and Bailey Malkowitz took the win.
Yep.
He now is the gas main rider in the 450s over in the MXGPs.
It's quite a prestigious event. Like, I know even Eli Tomac raced it in New Zealand against Ty Simmons back in the day, and it was it's always been the top amateurs of the world do come to it, and did that year as well.
We had Lottie Van Duren.
Yep.
She was a 10-year-old girl on a 65.
Yeah, right.
Race around. She finished 4th.
Yeah.
She is now the leading red plate holder of the world female motocross in MXGPs.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
So, you look at that and you see the people that come here. Yeah, Thibaut Benistan out of France, he's right up there in the MX2 class.
Yeah. You've got a very good memory.
Yeah, the names and numbers. Yeah.
That's the commentator.
Yeah, that's that side of me coming out. But we won that year. We won the world team event with Bailey getting a win, Brad West finishing 8th in the 85s. Then that's going to be Caden, young kid Plath won the 65s that year out of Queensland.
Gotcha.
Braden Plath, yeah.
Did you commentate for the?
No, the club wouldn't let me.
Right.
I was basically given no jobs, but to oversee everything.
Yeah, okay.
It was sort of just, they didn't want me to, I don't know. It was just sort of, I think, just kick back and enjoy it.
Yeah. That's fair. And then the event in itself, did it run well?
Yeah. On this Saturday, there was a toss-up whether we put extra water down on Friday night in the lead up to it, because it was pretty wet. It was in late August, and it was pretty wet, and they decided not to, and the track just packed down and become flat out way too fast. Yeah, gotcha. And didn't rut up and didn't do this and didn't do that. So out come the D5 dozer. Yep. And we ripped the whole track open that night, and they watered until 11 o'clock at night. And the first bikes out on our track here, and you've been here and know what it's like when it's claggy. Yeah. Was the 65s. Gotcha. They were the first bikes out there. And I can remember walking over to the return lane, and that little Lottie Van Duren pulled up, and she was drenched. There was water all over her. And I had met her during the weekend, and I said, "How is it?" And she had a grin from this side of her helmet to the other side. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, because we had a bit of a punchline, awesome in Horsham going at the time. And gotcha. Yeah, that was, she just said awesome. So, it just formed up awesomely, and we had a great day here. And you would have met some cool people that weekend? Yeah, like Michael Birkin from the AMA was here with Ricky Rookards and the American team. I met the English people and the Italians, the team managers and everything else. It was just an amazing.
So, yeah, like sum it up as an experience.
The highlight of my life.
Yeah. Really?
100%.
Yep. How awesome is that?
Like, just to see it all come to fruition and finish the way it did.
Yep.
And the weather was on our side. You know, it was perfect.
Awesome. It's so awesome to hear that, and we'll circle back around that this all started just by showing up, putting your hand up at the club, someone reaching out, and then you fast forward to there and you've got the highlight of your life, running a world event. The opportunity to do that is it's almost impossible. It's pretty rare, but in motorcycling, you do have that opportunity to do that. And it's awesome to hear that you can basically, anybody watching this now could go to the local club, get active, sign up, have a dream, and then next minute you're having the highlight of your life.
100%. My background come into the sport, got invited to a committee meeting because they were going through a bit of a stage where there was a vote on something that happened at the club.
Yeah.
And so I come with it just to see. And then there was something was going to happen at the meeting, and I said, no, you're not allowed to do that. And they sort of looked at me, and I was on the committee at the footy club. So I'd had years of that. Yeah. You know, I never sat back and drank at the bar. I did that. I always was involved in the committee meetings at the same time.
It's just awesome. Like, it's so incredible for people if they want the opportunity. Like, you could sign up to a motorcycle club, become an official, become a volunteer, secretary, whatever it is, vice president, and the things that could come from that, say running a national event or hosting a World Junior Championship, like, it's a lot of effort. But if you were to sum up the experiences of your life, like, it's a pretty awesome way to get a fantastic experience, is doing that. Like, a lot of people sort of get consumed in the, what do they call it? The work, live, die, whatever it is, cycle, and off it goes. But you could sign up to a motorcycling club, become a volunteer, and the things that would come from that, like not just the networking and the activity in and of itself, like the experiences that you've just said. I think that's invaluable, and probably maybe goes a bit, people are like, oh, why would I want to sign up and do that? It's just going to be, more time or whatever. But
volunteer base is really, I think since COVID, it's probably worse than ever. Yeah. Because I think they just walked away from everything and then just not come back. Yeah. Like, the sport's going through a stage where we're starting to find, they're having to bring back some older officials to get the sport back running again. Like, because the younger people aren't stepping up yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a little bit concerning. That's awesome. So, and then you've also run the MX Nationals as well.
Yep, we've run a lot of MX Nationals over the years with Kevin Williams and Mark Hancock. He was heavily involved in it. So he was a steward and clerk of course more than anything else. So he's done that for a long time, and he brings that passion of his to the club, and we've just grabbed it and run with it and had fun running these events. Yeah, we've had the odd one where it's been a shocker, and that's outdoors, you don't get a say over that. Yep. And then sometimes they say you didn't water it enough, or it's a fine line in it.
It's hard dirt around this area. It's
it's a clay-based area, so we try incorporating different stuff to try and alleviate some of that stickiness to it. But it's we've run a lot of nationals, and then we were just about to run round one of the nationals, then COVID come in. And we'd spent over $20,000 preparing the track for that event. Yeah, right. Alone. Wow. Yeah. We had Pro Tracks come in and done our track for us and everything. Yeah. And we were a week away from running it, and COVID shut it down.
Yeah, that was a tricky time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mate, and I was involved in motocross management at the time, and during COVID, I was listening to the radio, I was listening to Dan Andrews' report daily, seeing if there was something that gave the sport a little bit of hope. I heard one mistake made in front of me that I grabbed it and ran with. It said that you're allowed to go surfing. Yeah. I said, how can you control surfing? Yeah. But you can't control anything else. And the lady that answered the phone said to me, as long as you're in groups of no more than 20, and you're apart from the other people, you can go surfing. I said, if they can go surfing, we can go motorbike riding. So we split our venue up into 3. We had a group north of the clubhouse. We had a group in the main pit area, and we had a group down the southern end past the start gates. And they went out and had a ride. They went out and had a ride. They went out and had a ride, and we just stayed separate.
Numbers would have been good?
We had 60 riders here.
Because I coached pretty much the whole time through, unless we were actually locked in our houses. Yeah. And that was the most busiest coaching has ever been, because footy was off, basketball was off, every other sport was off, but you could still motorcycle, which was cool.
Yeah, and bike sales went through the roof.
They did. Yeah. Awesome. So you'd have to say Horsham's probably the most active club in Australia. It's going to be one of. Yeah, we're pretty keen to run big events. Big events brings money to the community, and that's what our council likes seeing. And if you bring something to the table, there is an opportunity for tourism funding as a reward. So by bringing big events to the town, there's an opportunity for tourism funding, which helps us run the events. So then we're not charging our members as much, and we generate the income by either through entries and through support from the government. Yep. So how is that relationship with the local council?
To be honest, I don't even live in this council. I reckon they're awesome. Yeah, people that live in Horsham, sometimes, you hear people going, oh, our council's terrible. Council's awesome.
Yeah.
But you've got to bring something to the table. Yeah. Don't go in there and ask for something with nothing in reward. You've got to give them something in return. Like we brought them the Pro-Mex Nationals here just recently. It was televised all over the world. Right. And there was promotional ads for Horsham on it.
Gotcha. And that has value for them.
And in return, the motels were booked out for several days in Horsham. The eateries were booked out. And, they seemed like the first time we brought a major event to Horsham was the World Juniors, the Aussie Juniors in 2013. The local supermarkets sold out of bread. The local pubs ran out of beer. Yeah. And it's not that the dads drink a lot. It's just there was a massive influx of people all buying a slab of beer each. So, you've got 600 or 700 families just buying a slab of beer. That was not expected. And we caught the town out. They weren't prepared for it. So all of a sudden extra trucks come in and restock the town up again.
Have you ever been able to put on a number or the amount of revenue it brings into a town?
They estimate that the monetary value at the moment, the government values at $148 per person per day.
That comes to a town, to a sporting event.
Yeah. And the benefits that we bring to Horsham is they're not local. You can run the grand final locally, and it's only shuffling the deck chairs of the financial benefits to the community. It's taken it from one area of that community and given it to another. With our events, when we bring them to Horsham, we bring outside money to Horsham and it stays here.
Yeah, nice. And is that like a negotiation you do with the council in the lead up to an event?
No, but it's a bargaining tool that you've got because they set the parameters, the government set the parameters of the economic benefits that we can bring to an event. Yeah. So if we say we've got 600 riders plus families plus family members plus the coaches and the team mechanics and everything else come along to an event that goes for 6 days like the Aussie Juniors. Yeah. It's a massive spin-off the economic benefits that it brings to the town, so.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, you definitely run a professional show. Like when you look at it from woe to go, whether it's the coaching days you were just talking about, the nationals, the World Juniors, working with the councils, everything else, it's very active and it's awesome. It'd be fantastic if, say, there was like 100 of you or 100 of Mark Hancock's or just the best people in the club and you could spread them out around the country because it's what you do could be replicated in other states at other clubs. It just takes people with passion and effort that want to do it.
Yeah, I'm only a truck driver. Year 10, worked on the railways for 15 years. Railways closed up and become a truck driver just so I wouldn't move away from home. Yeah. And just so I could keep playing football, basically. Yeah. And then, when the footy career was over, Mrs. said, you need to spend some time with the kids. And That was by my motorbike.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, it's a fantastic way to have good experiences. I say this to guys every now and again if they're on the cuff of racing a national event. I say, just go sign up for a Supercross, mate. You get to be down in the bottom of the stadium and look up at everyone else, 15,000 people there. Like, that's almost impossible to replicate that experience in any other sport or any other endeavour or any other event. But in our little niche sport, you can sign up and maybe you won't do good in the race. You know, you've got to be competent, but the actual experience of it, even being a mechanic for a rider at, say, the AusX Open, that's just an incredible.
And I've experienced that as a dad, as a mechanic. I've been up in the grandstand watching my boy ride.
Yep.
And then I've been down on the start gates with him.
Yep.
And it's a great feeling seeing your boy out there.
Yeah.
It's not great when you see him crash off the side of the jump. You know, so he's famous for the wrong reasons, but for a bloke that sits on his bum in a tractor all week, to go and race Supercross against Dean Wilson and all them blokes, no, he didn't race with them. He raced on the track with them. Yeah,
but it's one of them bucket list things when you get to the end of the year or the end of the decade, you look back and go, what did I do? You go, I was in the biggest stadium in Australia with the best riders in the world, and that is accessible to a lot of people, and maybe not, they don't have to race. They could be a mechanic or they could be a flaggy. Corey Best is
now 8th in the record books. He's finished 8th in Australia in one series, so 10th in his last one. He's having a year off this year. Hopefully that's just a gap year and then he comes back. And we've still got his 2 bikes with Supercross suspension sitting in the shed. So.
Yeah, nice. Fire him up, Corey. Get on him.
Yeah. So.
No, very good. Awesome. Yeah. And then commentating.
Yeah. As I said earlier, it come because I talked a lot. So a lot of people didn't know this, but I actually played in a band and sung. Wasn't any good, but we done it for a while. And so the microphone wasn't something that I was scared of.
Yeah.
I was never that great at public speaking, surprisingly, but I just got on it and started yakking.
Yeah.
I was a commentator for just local events, and then I went to a Vic title, and the commentator wanted to have a break for lunch, and Simone Samwith out of Ballarat knew me and said, can you come and do the commentary for a little bit at Ballarat? And that was basically about it. I've had some great time commentating. I've interviewed some of the best riders around and been able to go in places in the mechanics area and pit area, and I proposed for a bloke.
Really?
His wife was out or his missus at the time was pit boarding. I said, I reckon you should say something like, will you marry me? And that was at GV actually. So they did end up getting married, but it was...
Oh, they didn't?
They did end up getting married, but not off that invitation I made her write it. She just done it for a joke, and it worked out pretty funny.
Are we ever going to see you commentating a Supercross or an MX National on Pro MX?
No, I'm not the flavour of the month with that. So, I've done the arena cross at Skilled Stadium.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. I was on the Geelong PA system, so there was people in Mercer Street saying, "Can you turn it down?" I said, they come and ask me to turn it down. I said, "Well, I ain't got control of the volumes. I'm only getting excited and stuff." Look out! I done that. I done a round of a year with Kevin Williams as the commentator doing the the MX Nationals before the Pro MX come in. And I'm doing the Vic Seniors at the moment.
Yep.
Enjoying that. That's good fun. The Vic Seniors is starting to come back from COVID. Yeah.
Yep.
So do that. We've got our own little pet project here in Horsham. We run an event called MX Amateurs.
Yep.
Which is a really cool event. It was created.
It's just another one I've forgotten. And the Bronte Holland Cup.
Yeah, well, so that's part of their amateurs. So we ran an event called the Amateurs, and it was all based around bringing riders to Horsham and giving them track time before the Nationals come in, because all the teams would come in and hire the track and get good track knowledge here in Horsham and spend the day riding and setting up their suspension and everything else. So we created the Amateurs, and we made it exclusively if you're a top 10 finisher in the last 2 seasons of MX1 or MX2, you're not welcome.
Right.
So just for those people on the outsides that are trying to, get to Horsham and have a ride on it. So we give them an event where it's prepped good. and, skate starts and everything. And we started with that. The first year, Kevin Williams didn't run the Australian women's motocross titles, so we got hold of that and ran the Australian women's motocross titles in conjunction with the amateurs, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the year after, I think Bronny Holland Memorial come into play.
Yep.
And we based that around Bronny was a member of our club, and a lot of his racing was basically his career was basically his 125 was for us was probably the main part of his career, like 3 times 125 champion in Victorian A grade as a junior. It was never heard of, and he done that. And he done everything on the 125, and you could listen to it sing out on the track. He was good to watch. And you raced with him probably, or just younger than
a little bit older, but I always looked up to Bronte basically.
Yeah, so did I. So we just turn up, and he was doing heel clickers over the jump, and my kids just seen stardom. Like every time there was a school project, it was on Bronny Holland.
Yeah.
So, I rang up the family and asked them if we could run a memorial event in their honour, and they was more than happy to do that for us, and thought there'd been enough time between, unfortunately, Bronny's passing and that. So it was just at the right time. We ran it, and then they gave us this bike as to put up. We've got a little shrine here of Bronny's jerseys and a little bit of history about Bronny and things like that. And we run a 125 race for the mates that he would have raced against, or seniors as they are now. So we've had some good riders come along, and the challenge is out this year. We've had to move ours to the 21st, 22nd of September.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I reckon it's time that the big KM.
I'm a fan of a two-stroke. Everyone knows that.
I know. And why wouldn't you come over and have a ride? So I'm hearing all these to-do lists that you've got going. I reckon the Bronny Holland Memorial in 24 is probably the time to do it.
Oh, maybe I'll chuck it on the list. Stark Varg at a Pro MX, Hatter, and the Bronte Holland Memorial. Yeah,
we had a couple of Stark Vargs on the weekend race at the Vic Titles, so that was...
Sound good?
I reckon I heard the wind-up of a roll-off as he rode past me. Was that quiet? I reckon I just heard the roll. That's what I was telling everybody on the PA. So I had a bit of fun with that.
You could probably hear him fart, really, on it. They're that quiet.
I was yelling out to him. They could hear me. Yeah. So, I don't know. There was a lot of talk about it, and there's negative side of it and positives, but we were pretty pumped to have them do our Vic Titles. Yeah. Just to get over the line, and good achievement to have them actually racing. They all had to race in either the vets or all power class in the MX1.
Yeah, gotcha.
Or the MX1. They could have raced the MX1 on the Sunday, but nobody opted to do that. One rider rode in the all powers on Saturday. Yeah. And then there was 2 vet riders raced the...
Yeah, gotcha. Yes. So I've ridden one a lot recently, and I'll just say straight out, they are the quickest bike you'll ever ride, or I've ever ridden for certain, unless there's someone out there I don't know of. But the powers that they're capped out to race on, they're not far off just another 450 or 250, really. Yeah. I mean, if you could do it at its full capacity, 80 horsepower, then, look out, but you can't do that. So
they had them set at 60 horsepower, supposedly, and they'd done testing.
Yep.
And like the 450s were predominantly the winner in a whole shot.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. So we even actually put one on a dyno, and the power curve, you can't even really assess it or speak it. It'll hit the 60 instantly, but then it'll regulate it from there. So you can only ever get so much power out of it. It's there instantly, but it has like a bit of not a lag at the start, but once it's moving, say 2 meters, the thing just goes. But straight off of the gate, I don't know if they would get a whole shot there. If the start straight was, say, 100 meters long, I think it's getting the whole shot every time. Yeah. But again, it's much of muchness with the power caps that they have them at, the 60 horsepower for the 450s, the 48 horsepower for the 250s. I mean, it seems pretty even to me, really, just from my experience riding them.
Yeah.
And then even at that 80 horsepower, you need to know your way around a motorbike to handle that thing.
If the Stark Varg doesn't get selected as one of the prizes in the raffle. You got going with the 250 2-stroke, the 450 4-stroke, and the Stark Varg, and you run a few more. And in the meantime, we come up to September, and we've got the amateurs. The amateurs also runs an event called the MX of Amateurs.
Yeah.
So it's a replica of the MX of Nations.
Right.
So we have one A grade rider, one B grade rider, and one C grade rider, and they must ride the same bikes that Jet Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence and Dean Ferris would run. One on a 250.
Gotcha.
One on a 450, and one a choice of whatever.
Gotcha.
Imagine a team of Stark Vargs.
Yeah, that'd be...
I know a few blokes that have got a few, like there's Phil Rourke over your way.
Yeah, no, Phil.
You know, Phil, he's just sent me a picture of, he's got one.
Phil's the reason I brought one.
Yeah.
He gave me a ride on it. I thought, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so we have... we do that. So there's a replica of that, and we also do it for juniors too. We have a bit of fun, and it just come by driving a truck down the road and thinking about the event and having fun with it still. And we run a MX of Nations team event replica of the MX of Amateurs. And it's based on an 85, a 125 and a 250.
Gotcha.
And they've got to have their select A grade, B grade and C grade rider, but they can be A grade rider, could be on the 85, the B grade on the 250, your C grade on the 125.
Yep.
So it's up to you whichever order you do it in, but then you go out and race with the 125s, race with the 250s.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's fun.
And you're doing that this year?
Yeah, we done it, and we had the teams. I think the maximum teams we can have is 20.
Gotcha.
So with a full grid, so it's set up only.
And they race with the other races, and they're just
they race on the Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah. So the Sunday has, I think it's the Maggie Stacey Memorial.
Yep.
One of our club members that passed away. We run an event in her honour just for clubman girls.
Yep.
Which is, because it's about trying to give everything balance, because the girls have got the national senior event, so that, the expert ladies are catered for, but not the clubmen. So we give the clubmen girls a race. We're on exactly the same prize money on offer as the seniors and the boys and everything. It's just race 40 riders, we pay you accordingly. And if you race 20, the prize goes back a little bit, but it's for reward for effort. So if you're racing 10, you get paid to race 10. If you're racing 30, we pay you according for that. So
I'm checking your calendar.
Yeah, I think you should come across, and I think we'll promote this a little bit further down the track and get you promoting it, chucking it in as a special prize.
Yeah, for sure, mate.
If you don't win the bike of your choice that round, there might be a booby prize that you get a free entry to the amateur event.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll chuck that in. You sure it's promoted properly, so have fun.
No, absolutely, mate. It's cool to hear the fun things. Like maybe I'm a little bit biased because I did the full series all in for a long time, 22 years, and to hear of things like that are just fun, good experiences, kind of like Hatter. A lot of people just go there for the experience, have a bit of fun. Yeah. Some people take it serious, but I think there's a massive market for that stuff.
Yeah, the amateurs is starting, people say they don't call it the MX amateurs, they're calling it the amateurs. So, well, we're going to Horsham and do the amateurs. Yeah. And it's that bucket list. Oh, it's not really a bucket list. It's that event to come and do for fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's not you're not racing for sheep stations. You're kind of going to hang out with your mates and socialise and race and hopefully do well. But it's... And,
the team side of it, they got no idea because it's all done off Olympic scoring. The same as over there. We do the 2 laps board, the 1 lap board, and finish it like we're over there. Everything's sort of done, but cut back a little bit in time. We don't race for half an hour and things like that. But, just have fun with it. And people come and have a long, and we have a back to front draw. And Mark Hancock buys a lot of tickets, and I just keep calling out, Mark Hancock, and he thinks I'm wanting to talk to him. He goes, yeah, and I said, you're out, and I throw his ticket in the bin. So have fun with that. Just the whole thing's about having a fun weekend and just taking the pressure off the kids. We run every class. We run an expert, which is an A and B grade combined, and a clubman. So we cater for that clubman and everything. So
hats off to you, mate. I think there's a huge want for that type of stuff. Like if you look at the events that have been born out of that, like say the Transmoto 6 hours, the MX Thor Ride of Your Mates, Hatter, there's a few they were sort of just, fun, go out, have a race, enjoy yourself, and they've exploded. They're doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Maybe motocross could do with a bit of that too.
The first year we ran the amateurs, I spoke to Kevin Williams, and I said to him, Kevin, would you be interested in sponsoring our event? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, we're running the amateurs. We run the expert class as a combination of either 250 or 450. So it's up to the rider. So it's all powers.
Yep.
And I said to him, if we have a winner, would you sponsor his entry for the Wonthaggi round of the Nationals?
Yep.
So Kevin did the first year, and I used a promotional tool that people didn't know what it was about. And it said, who are you lining up next to? And it was an empty gate at Coolum in 2012 where they wouldn't allow my son to take the 40th gate pick of the Aussie juniors that year.
Gotcha.
Qualified 41st.
Yep.
We knew a rider officially withdrew.
Yep.
And so we went and seen him and said, there's a rider's withdrawn. Now Aaron's the 40th qualifier. Can he take the gate? And they said no. So I protested. It cost me $70 to protest that.
It does, yeah.
Back then that was 2 slabs of beer. So I protested and I lost.
Yep.
So I went and took a photo of that, and it was my pet hate that we've gone through an event and wasted a week trying to find out who's the best 40 riders available to take to the first final. And they started with an empty gate. I thought that was just so far out of reality for what the sport's about.
Yeah, well, let's deep dive in on that a bit. Occasionally things like that do happen, probably maybe rigorously following rules that maybe
Doesn't
don't need to apply, but yeah.
When we done the protest, I got up and I said to the bloke, just in case you know, my name's Kenny Watts. I'm the race secretary at the Horsham Motorcycle Club.
Yep.
I'm changing the rules to make sure this never happens again to a family. And it's still in place now. It says in the subregs of the Aussie Juniors, the first 40 available.
How to get filled.
We fill the grid for the first final. You don't go through a week of heat races and then start the gate with an empty gate like that. It's just the disrespect to the sport. And the parents that's put a lot of money into it. And it was just so heartening for my son to, if he didn't crash in one of his heat races, he would have qualified anyway. But he did have that DNF in one race and still got there.
Yeah, it is a bugger, those types of things every now and again. I'm not sure why.
Well, it was in place years ago, and for some reason it went missing. Because we lined up at a 2007 Aussie Juniors, and Grady Holland qualified something, he had bike issues and qualified something like 47th or 48th.
Yeah.
And he's lined up for the first final. I said, what are you doing? He goes, they're going to fill the grid. If someone doesn't turn up, they're going to fill it. And that sat in my mind forever and ever. And then when I said to him about Aaron taking the place, they said, no, not doing it. No. There's precedents of it happening before. And I'm
trying to think. I always thought, you could go up as the,
you just had to be
40th
there.
to 50th qualifier, and they'll roll you in at the last minute.
If there was someone didn't turn up, like riders get to the point and they've raced 2 classes and they go, I'm going to win the 85, so I'm not going to focus on the 250 or the 125 and pull out of it. And then there's that rider goes in and takes that spot. So I just made sure that never happened again.
How is it as a club working with MB and MA as the governing bodies?
Yeah, it's okay. Actually, Matt Falvo was a really good person to be involved with at MA. He's now gone away and gone into a different sport altogether. I think it's street fighting or cage fighting or something like that.
Yeah, UFC or something. Yeah.
UFC or something. So Matt Falvo was really good to talk to. Then we've got a new bloke in there. He seems okay. Richard. I think his name's Richard.
Yeah.
He seems okay. We had him here at the Promex, so that was my first meeting with him. I've got to say be careful what I say with MV. I'm actually involved in motocross management, so I get on really good with the office. We've got Caroline Garlick involved. You know Caroline, would you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got Caroline. She's coordinates with MV and motocross management for us.
Yeah.
And, Rob Mestrom, Donna Pierce, a lot of the people that are involved in it. And when I've just met the new bloke too, Aaron, and he's just taken over a role. He come and see me at the Primex Nationals. I've spoken to him once or twice since then.
Yep.
Like, they're all there to do the same thing. There's no one that doesn't want to help the sport. It's just ticking the boxes and make sure we do everything right. And like with this insurance stuff that you heard Peter Doyle telling you about, it's just amazing when you sit back and look at, he's saying about riding your helmet all the time, with riding your bike with your helmet on in the pits and things like that. Well, you look around, you see it, and it happens. And we need to be a little bit more, respectful of the sport. Because you may not care about it, but I do.
In what? So expand on that.
Yeah, just do the right thing. If you're going to ride your bike to the wash base, chuck your helmet on. You think, I'm not going to fall over in between here and there, but and you just we've got to be seen to be doing the right thing. Yeah.
I mean, it is the unfortunate part of the world. You do have to fall in line to a degree if you want things to run. Like, it's not disagree with them, and I'm sure most people don't. And there's certainly a lot of things I disagree with, but you go, fuck, what's the harder path to take? Disagree and just bang your head against the wall, or you just bloody do it? And
I don't, I'm probably anal with the book and read it.
The real book?
Yeah, just to make sure we're doing the right thing. And there's things in there that you can use to your advantage, and running events and things like that, knowing the rules.
Yeah.
Because there's some people probably don't know you could do things, and you go, I didn't know you could do that. So, and then you see other things and you go, I don't know why they're doing that. That's just putting the sport at risk by doing that.
As in types of rules, or?
Doing different stuff, promoters and things like that. Probably wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a contentious one, that one. Like, do you do things at your own risk, or are you always at liability of certain things?
Yeah. The crew we've got in motocross management at the moment, it's all about giving a pathway. Like, the pathway for us in the seniors is getting races. Like, we can't give 25-minute races to little Johnny that's retired and he's now a vet rider, and he's going to bring his Stark Varg out and ride the next round and do 30-minute motos. He'd kill you. So we'll look after you, and we'll do an 18-minute moto and a lap, and you go, there's me 20. I've just got to find another 5 minutes of fitness, and you'll get ready for Murray Bridge.
Yeah. You don't know how much I've been training. I'm a closet trainer these days.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe.
So,
who knows?
Yeah, so we just try and put everything. We've just looked at, they've changed the race durations for the Aussie Juniors now.
Right.
Yeah, I just noticed that's been changed. So we're going to reassess our time schedules for the Vic Juniors. And give those A-grade riders a little bit closer times.
Are they shorter or longer at the Aussie Juniors this year?
Longer. Yeah, they've been gone to 15 minutes. Back in the day, nearly everything was 10s. It was pretty short sprints, and now the 250s and 125s are 15 minutes. The 85 big wheels, 12s, 10s for small wheel.
As someone that runs a lot of events, do you think there's room for, say, like the Loretta Lynn's type amateur setup that America has in Australia? Like different sort of nationally recognised junior amateur events? Because they have many.
MA have already looked at it.
Yep.
And they tried in 2014, they tried changing the format of the Aussie Juniors, and they ran the small wheel in the first two days, like 65s, 50s and 85 small in 2 days. And then they ran 85 big wheel, 125, 250s, and the girls on the next 3 days. They tried that. That for the clubs putting the effort in to run an Aussie Juniors. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's about the money that you can make for your club. For the effort that you put in, you got to get a reward.
Are they profitable?
Yeah.
Yep.
They can be, like, with good sponsors on board and assistance from your council.
Yep.
Getting a little bit of help from the government, your state government will pitch in and help a little bit.
Yep.
And KTM Australia even help run the event. Like, they give you some assistance to help run it. They're really good to work with, the KTM crew.
So they give financial assistance.
Yeah, it's a monetary benefit for the club.
Yeah.
You know, when our first year that we ran it, I got told by somebody, your focus needs to be making sure the KTM's everywhere.
Yeah.
The KTM brand needs to be everywhere possible. On the results page, we looked at trying to get toilet paper with KTM written on it. We was keen to put KTM at the front of everything. Like we got our rubbish bins out the front. We brought special orange lids just to make them look in place. We put in bollards to control traffic management, painted them orange and put the KTM logo on. Everything we done was based upon making the sponsor happy. And, you know, I've spoken to Jeff Lesk when he was involved in the thing, and he thought that Horsham gave his brand the most possible exposure that a club could do for an event.
Yeah, nice.
Like he loved it, absolutely loved it. And
so where's that value coming from? It's basically just guys like yourself with ideas, putting in time and effort.
Time and effort. We wanted it to be an event. We had a committee meeting. We were sitting in here and we were saying, you know, we need to come up with something, a catch cry for our event, and we need to make it awesome in Horsham.
So how do you like? Let's say
that become the
that's
catch
a good
cry
slogan. Like, let's just say Horsham's the healthiest club in Australia. Maybe now Coolum's gone. It's got to be the most active. How would you expand and replicate Horsham in, you know, maybe say more of them in Victoria and all across the states and across the country? And, you know, like it's a common topic. Everyone will say, oh, the health of the sport, sport's dying, sport's growing, blah, blah, blah. If every club was like Horsham, and this isn't a big town, it's in the middle of nowhere, how do you replicate that? How would you?
Actually, we've spoken about this as a club, that our demographic location puts us in a bad spot, Horsham.
Yeah.
Because, you know, little Johnny can sneak down the creek and ride his motorbike wherever he likes. If this venue was in Melbourne.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, imagine having this and the amount of people we could have
and the
here.
Spectators. Yeah, I drove from Echuca to here. You see like one servo and bloody cafe and that's it. It was a 3-hour drive. There's there's not much surrounds.
And it's just, we don't have a big membership base here in Horsham itself. Mm-hmm. Like I'm from Warrnambool, it's 60 k's away. We've got members from Adelaide. We've got members from Robe that come and ride here. Yeah, that are members of Horsham. And
you would have put it down to something like that. Maybe you could, I guess, maybe almost as like a lesson or something that other clubs could take if they wanted to grow and expand. What would you put it down to?
I think our direction has always been run big events and bring money to the community, and then the return is the council sees the benefits that we bring.
Gotcha.
And then there's, you know, the opportunity to get help.
Then rinse and repeat.
And you've got to keep them on side.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some of, like, people probably wouldn't believe it. We had the governor of Victoria, Linda DeSalle, come here and she had never been to a motorbike club.
Right.
She was actually of the mindset that we were Harley Davidson riders with leather jackets.
See, do you do backflip questions?
Like she come out here and like we put on a little demonstration. We had a couple junior riders, Corey, Chloe Wheeler, and a couple other riders were riding around showing her what the bikes could do.
Yep.
Over the finish line, and we got her to wave the checkered flag. That's been something we love having. You know, we've had the Minister for Sport, John Oren. We've had Huey Delahunty waving the checkered flag. We've had the governors. The governor for Victoria. We've had our mayors. We always keep introducing them to come out and actually stand next to the finish line and see the bikes landing and going past it.
And that's obviously a working business model, that one.
So we took the governor to come here and had a look, and she said, so how did this all start? And we went for a walk down to the Pearson Pavilion, which has got a lot of Kevin McGee memorabilia in it. I'll have to show you that before you leave. Yeah. And there's a photo of our original finish line tower here. It was there was nothing. And it's just grown. My first year as president in 2005, we built the the finish line tower, the start line start chutes. Mm-hmm. We built them on the Friday before the junior Vic titles were here on the Saturday. So it was people rocking up and we were still bolting it together.
Awesome.
If anything about a club, don't be a rich club.
Yeah. So
Nate's having a lot of money in the bank and shit facilities. Look after your, like, people come here and appreciate they can go to the toilet and it's clean and it's just like being at home.
Mm.
The showers, everything else, it's all about making our guests welcome and feel at home.
Yeah.
Don't have, when the bigger event's on, we have to bring in extra toilets and that, but clean them.
Yeah.
We bring in a cleaner and they clean them and make sure they're nice and clean. You don't want to send your guests into a toilet that hasn't been flushed for five hours and
the average is not coming back for that.
No. So you've just got to, be mindful of when you run a big event, presentation and effort's got to be put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So less focus on infrastructure, like just have what gets it done and then focus on a good service to whoever's coming
100%. Yeah. So just, you got to get out there, and we have blokes who just love getting out here and having a beer and water in the track for you. And
it's funny, it always just comes back to people putting in effort, really.
I thought you were going to say it comes back to having a beer.
Oh, it can come back to having a beer.
It does.
We need to get out and have a beer.
Yeah. So, we have a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
Prepping the track and everything else. So it does involve a beer. But that's the day before the event. And then when we get to it, we're up here at 6 o'clock in the morning and do the sign in and, just make sure it all ticks over.
I think it's awesome, mate. Like you need something in your life that you look forward to, whether it's the next weekend or the next month. And it sounds like anyone that's a part of Horsham, like you look forward to the next event or you look forward to the big national or whatever it is. It's like it's a compliment to whatever you're just doing in your normal life. If you're a part of an active club that all gets along and puts in the effort and has fun.
100%.
It's a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah. We, have some really good people involved in our club.
Yeah.
They go missing occasionally, but then when there's an event on, they come back.
Yeah.
And they're there. Their passion may not be as strong 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
But deep down, they're still got that passion. They were involved in the club for one reason or another. And we put the call out for the Primex Nationals this year. We had 2 flaggies on every flag point.
Yeah,
22 flag points.
How good is that? It's usually the other way around.
They had extra flag points just to, if a rider was to fall off here at Horsham and be stuck under the bike, there was other people nearby, close by, to help them out.
Yeah.
Can it be continue on into other events? No. You just can't get that. But for the one-off big event at Horsham, our members, our just followers of the club, supporters, volunteers just come all pitched in.
Yeah.
No monetary benefit for them at all.
It's all purely passion-driven, basically everyone that's in the club.
Yeah, the bigger the event is, the less, like a small region and you supply the flaggies, you pay flaggies to do the job.
Yeah.
But the bigger event, it's, you can't afford to pay.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, the bigger event, the harder it becomes.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Monetary wise, it's just volunteers do the start line, the finish line, the flaggies.
Is that just because you need more people?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And if you started paying everybody, like if you pay one bloke out there to do flaggy, but you've got, somebody standing on the finish line for the whole day that's prepared to do it just for the love of the club.
Yeah,
and,
it's tricky, yeah.
And the bloke down on the start line does it all day too.
Yeah.
And sometimes the flaggy's the better place to be, How close are you? You're a couple of metres away from some of the best riders in Australia and New Zealand and...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like if you, I don't know, it seems like a pretty good Saturday to me if you've got nothing else to do, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was talk. I went to an event at Cobram or Shepparton, I'm not really sure. And I bumped into a few old blokes that, their riders, their sons had stopped racing. Mm-hmm. And they had this passion of creating a flaggies group because they were still keen on the sport.
Gotcha.
But just the kids no longer race, they're semi-retired and whatever. And I thought, that's pretty cool if they'd done that. But it never eventuated. There is a group that does it, but I don't think it's motocross orientated. It's more road racing.
Yeah, gotcha. Do you think with like the correct initiatives and correct ideas, like maybe the one you just mentioned there, the people are out there, they're just probably not, maybe it's not easy for them to do it, or?
Yeah, I think so.
They don't know about it?
There's a lot of people, your dad, he didn't start the sport because you said, Dad, I want to race. He goes, come on, mate, we'll take you. I remember meeting you at Ararat. You were riding a KX65, got the whole shot against Josh Kasher on the state-of-the-art KTM at the time.
Yeah.
And sat there next to you and your parents for that day. Like, you might have been 7 or 8 at the time, maybe 9 on the KX65.
Yeah.
And then, they were passionate about doing it. I think your dad's having a play with some buggies or something.
He is now, but I was so fortunate as a kid. If Dad wasn't taking me racing, Mum was taking me coaching. And that was basically every weekend of the year for a good decade, I'd say.
Yeah, and I reckon that time your mum was making jewellery.
Yes, correct. It was actually something
my missus brought one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. At that event in Ararat.
Yeah, like to give context to it, so racing costs a lot. If you could make it a tax deduction, that'd be fantastic. So
unbelievable.
They started, selling jewellery at the races and then travelling there and back, and the motel was all the business expense, and that was the way they made ends meet to get me racing back then.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So, question for you.
Here we go.
Tooling. A-grade 85 big wheel.
Yeah.
You and, was it Dylan Long crashed together?
Yeah.
Your body armour broke.
Correct. You've got a very good memory, yeah.
And was disqualified because you threw your body armour off because it was hanging around.
It fell off, yeah.
Yeah. And Mrs. Mack had to disqualify you from that race because legally you've got to race with body armour on.
She was given information to maybe, yeah. Yeah.
So that cost you a Vic title?
That cost me a Vic title, that race, yeah. So the crash in the first corner, I think we were even maybe or something, I can't remember the exact points. Body armour was hanging off one side, so it was dangerous to ride. Took it off, went to race. The position I was in, I would have won it, but mid-race, black flag comes out, got sent off.
Yeah.
Dylan Long's manager was Glenn McDonald, which is Lorraine's son. There's allegations. They caught up mid-race, whatever. I was racing, obviously, I don't know, but
I don't know, but I did.
What made you think of that?
That's just a memory of that's telling you the stuff that I remember at events.
No, it's a fantastic memory. Yeah. Dylan Long was KTM. I was on a Yamaha. Who else? I think there was Dylan Berwick, maybe might have been there, someone like that. Yeah.
So I've been and watched some amazing events. So you're on a CRF 150 back that day.
Yeah. Yep.
Your dad actually gave me the foot pegs from your bike because they were lowered.
Oh, right.
And my son raced with them.
Yeah.
So Corey had your dad's modified foot pegs on our bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
still on it.
Yeah. I remember that 150.
That
it was very hard to start.
In Tim Scriven's memorial display over at Kerrang.
He's got a nice collection there, yeah. Right. That's interesting.
Your foot pegs are on that bike still. Never took them off.
You really do have a good memory.
Yeah.
I probably would have never recited that memory again if you didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
That's gone that far back. Yeah.
And I didn't go home and do any searching either. I just thought of that.
There was, people were pretty certain that was what happened, but I could never confirm that.
I, like some of the experiences as being a commentator and a spectator of the sport. Like I can remember watching Jared McNeil race at Shepparton.
Yep.
And they had the cannery brick wall in the background, and he was just launching his KTM off that.
Someone actually messaged me about that just today. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was massive. Aaron got the whole shot and led for 2 laps against Joel Milesevic and Jeremy Tyndall and all that on his 150.
Yep.
Back in, I think it was 08 or 07 or something like
that.
Yeah. Been there when he won the Aussie Juniors at Coolum.
Yep.
And Ty Simmons took the hands off the handlebar celebrating the win and got pipped.
It's got to be the most recognised Aussie Junior race, I reckon, that one, by far.
Yeah. And just to make it reality, Matty Brown done exactly the same for an Australian title and lost it.
Ah.
And Jess Moore replicated Jared McNeil's feat and raced her to the finish line. Matty backed off. Yep.
Yeah, gotcha.
She lost an Australian women's motocross title, celebrating before the finish line.
It is a bit of a, so if you actually look at where the line is there at Coolum, it sort of runs on an angle. So if you race it to one side, which isn't the predominant side when you're riding, it's quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you,
because they get near the finish line, they think it's all over. And yeah.
Oh, you're almost braking at the line for the corner, so you can gas it and nearly hit the fence. But yeah, that was always an interesting one back in the day. Very good.
So that's just I do. I don't know how it comes into my head, but I just start thinking of things again.
What else you got? What other memories?
Yeah. So people reckon I've got a bad memory.
I was actually going to bring something up.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. You were accused of something the other day.
Yeah.
On Facebook, I think.
Yeah. And that's funny because that whole thing was based on the opinion of a person with a perfect memory.
Yeah. I liked the comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody asked me something and it's going to be as close as I can remember.
To the truth. Yeah. So we can aspire to
most things come and go.
Yeah.
Numbers, everything like that.
Yeah.
Like numbers. I'll bump into a kid at the end of a race meeting and he'll go, and he's got this big bushy red head.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at him and goes, "You see me crash, Kenny?" And I go, "No." He goes, "You sure?" I said, "What number are you?" 44. Oh, yes, I did. It's the number. It's like, I don't know kids with their helmets off.
No, I get the same at coaching. I sort of see everyone at the start of the day, helmets off. The rest of the day, everyone's helmets on. And then you get to the end of the day and you've been talking to them all day, but just the helmet's gone now. I can't quite remember what bike and what name.
Yeah, and you're describing by the bike they're riding or whatever. Or the gear they're wearing, but
people have theories to that. That's why motorcyclists maybe aren't as recognised, because you can't align with their faces. You're just seeing a helmet and goggles, and you can't really connect with them in that way. Do you think there's truth to that at all?
100%.
Yeah, like you can't see the emotion in it, and you don't recognise them in a crowd or something like that.
Yeah, there's people walk past you, and you're looking at them, and you, hey, agree with those,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we had in 13, Toby Price rocked up here.
Oh, yeah?
Just back from his broken back.
Yeah.
And KTM was the sponsor at the time, and he was here as a guest of theirs. Well, whether he was a guest, he was forced to come here, I don't know. KTM said, "You're coming to Horsham." So he rocks up, and they chucked him with Wade Carter's gear on.
Yep.
And we had Wade's class was the next to go out, and they're all sitting in front to do a sight lap before they raced. And Wade's bike took off, went ran the first corner, over the jumps, and goes through the whoops. Mark Hancock runs out and points at him and tells him to get off the track. He comes riding over. Toddy Jarrett's standing just at the return lane, pulls him up, whips a helmet off. It's Toby Price.
Yeah, right.
The kids thought Wade's in trouble. It's so funny.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. That's, and you're seeing him come to the events, and we know what he looks like now. But he was just a name to me. Like, he was Toby Price.
It'd be an interesting study, if anyone ever wanted to do it. Like, do you connect with people more when their helmets are off once you know who they are?
We went to our first ever Vic title at Bacchus Marsh, and I'm sitting there for the whole weekend watching the racing and everything.
Yeah.
And the president of the Horsham Club at the time, Vas Radulovic, says, "Have you got anything that I can get a signature on?" I said, "No." And I grabbed Aaron had a white Fox helmet hat. And I give it to him, and he passes it to the bloke sitting next to me. And I've been sitting next to him all weekend. He gives it to him, and he signs it. And he goes, "Here, mate, Lee Hogan signed your thing." And Aaron looks at me, and I look at him. I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
We had no idea in the sport seat. We walked into the sport, had no idea. So it's just like the rider with the helmet on.
It'd be interesting. Like, I wonder if we did an interview with helmets on, would anyone sit and watch it? Because people watch, because you can sort of see the facial expressions when they say something, and it's interesting. But I'm just thinking, would you watch one with helmets on? Probably not.
We done on the Vic Seniors. I interviewed the podium getters for the All Powers on the Saturday.
Yep.
And they left their helmets on, and the microphone could pick up their voices, but people probably didn't even recognise who they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for we was telling them, this is Kale Makeham, he just won this race.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Very good, mate. Anything else?
Not really, just your commitment to the Bronny Holland Memorial in September.
What date is it?
21st, 22nd of September.
21st.
Yeah, it's after the seniors have finished the Prime X, and then it's before the Supercross starts.
Yeah.
So.
Look, I'd love to give you my word, but I am getting married shortly after that.
Are you?
Yeah. So I have fear of saying I can't do it and then I can't. I want to do it. I'll give you an IOU.
Yeah. And then you could have your Stark Varg team in the MX amateurs.
God, then I'll be hated by everyone. They're bloody quick. Quick. I think people are starting to come around on the Starks, but...
Yeah, like the people that are living in areas that have got whinging neighbours.
Oh.
Like I'm watching clips now of, little edits of blokes riding their bike down the driveway over a metal ramp and landing on a mound of dirt and then turn around and going back and that, and you can hear the dog in the background barking.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's
not going to upset the neighbours, but except for the dog barking. But
I'm sure back in the day when people rode horses, like they had their favourite horse and swore they'd never drive a car, but now it'd be crazy to ever ride a horse. I see electric bikes almost similar to that purely because of the performance of them, similar to a horse and a car. It's just so much quicker and nicer.
Yeah,
needs to fix the battery. Goes flat too quick. But pure performance-wise, and then riding a motorbike's kind of like a feeling, like gives you the adrenaline and the dopamine and the feeling of riding an electric one because it's got so much more performance. It's like it's addictive in a sense because once you go back to the slower, heavier, less performing thing, this thing doesn't feel as good as what that did.
The Stark 20 kilos heavier than a 250 or 450?
Yeah, so it's I think it's around 20 kilos, but because it has no rotating mass in the engine, no inertia of it, it'll feel a lot lighter. Yeah. Like if you'll see some of the guys, I think it's Pat Belden throwing whips on them, like double what he used to do. Yeah. Purely because it doesn't have the inertia to fight against. And you do notice that when you ride too, like I was out riding it the other day. A set of rollers around the corner. Very, very hard to double them on the 450 to get it right. On the electric bike, it was like you do it with your eyes closed. So it's like the opposite of what you would think.
So when the Yamaha first brought out the new 450 that had the engine facing the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Christy Gillespie or Christy Long and Jared Long was sitting here at the fence watching an event. And I asked him, I said, Jared, with this, the engine being back to front, do you have to accelerate to break it, the opposite to what we're doing now, like to get it, hit the brakes and pop the front down and rev it to lift it up. I had him going, he had no idea what I was on about. He was thinking about it and his missus goes, Jared, he's playing with it.
Most people
he had no idea. He started thinking about it because I just said the engine's in it back to front. Is it the reverse? Thinking about it.
Yeah,
and
wheels
she's
still going the same way.
She did think about it.
That's funny. There's actually a lot of interesting stuff with the different facing direction engines. Yeah. One that forces the inertia, like keeps the front down but doesn't get traction to the rear wheel. They'll flip them around the other way, so then it'll equal out the rotating mass of the wheels going forwards, the engine's going backwards, and it's actually it plays a huge role in the handling of a bike, more than you'd think, which is probably what people underestimate about the Stark. It just doesn't have any of that. So it's like, it's a wild feeling. You have to experience it. I'd love to ride a MotoGP bike one day because they actually turn their engines around. So the crank will face the opposite way and it'll spin it back around for the chain. And because they do that, it cancels out the inertia from the forwards rotation from the wheels. It'll balance it out. And it'll also, because it's turned the opposite direction, it either keeps the front down or it puts more squat on the rear, so you can accelerate a lot better as well. But it costs so much, they won't do that on production bikes, only on factory MotoGP bikes. So to give you an idea of the performance of it, they go to quite a bit of effort to just do one-of-one custom builds for Pro MX.
Well, the factories put a lot of effort in it, like that young kid that wanted to claim Deegan's bike at the Loretta Lynn's last year.
Yeah.
The political push for that to not happen,
Yeah.
to not let out whatever they've got in that engine. It was not about anything else. It was what it was in that engine they didn't want out as secret.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what technology motocross is.
There was something in there they didn't want out.
There's a difference for gearboxes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they're switched around the other way. I haven't heard that. The electronics would probably be something pretty cool to
There was some part in the
break
engine
down.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. As you're saying, it's the evolving window. It's always something in it.
It is. It is. I mean, it's probably got to hit a peak here at some point, but I guess the electric bike come along and smash all that again. So see where it goes to next time. Very good, mate.
No worries.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Thanks for coming to Horsham.
No, my pleasure.
Yeah.
Horsham is awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Now we'll see you in September.
Potentially.
Potentially.